Turning now to our top story, the UK has officially left the European Union after 47 years of membership and more than 3 years after it voted to do so in a referendum. Joining me now live from London is Andre Walker, the host of Talk Radio. Andre, thank you so much for joining me. First, take us through these celebrations after the UK officially split.
Well, look, it's been an incredible night in London. It's been a phenomenal thing. Nigel Farage, who was the godfather of Brexit, hosted a party in Parliament Square. Unfortunately, the elite in this country who've let us down so many times weren't willing to sound Big Ben. But we played the tape anyway, and it was a great thing to have done. And I'm going to tell you that this has been a great night, not just for British people, but for everyone in Europe. People who believe in freedom and democracy, who are sick of their countries being ruled by an elite and corrupt group of people who have no interest in them and have only an interest in themselves. That is a victory for everyone, whether you are in Liverpool or Lithuania. This is a great night for Europe.
How would you describe how the public feels about this moment? Is there a sense of relief or unease?
I think there's two things. So certain people voted leave, like me. Other people voted remain. The problem has not been that. The problem has been that we have had a parliament, a Supreme Court, an electoral commission, a media establishment who have attempted to stymie that democratic decision. I've got plenty of friends of mine who voted remain, who are really pleased tonight that it's over, because for 3 years we have mucked about and played and tried to overrule the will of the British people. So I think the vast majority of British people tonight are celebrating. Certainly I'm doing it myself. But the hard work comes now in terms of negotiations with the European Union. But at least we can get on and do that. What a sad sight it was to watch a once great country be so pathetic for so many years, arguing over this referendum result. It's done now, and fantastic result.
Well, how would you describe the impact that this long-running Brexit saga has had on the UK?
Well, honestly, I've said previously that every single British establishment body has fought against this, whether it be the Supreme Court, whether it be the House of Lords, the Electoral Commission, the BBC, all of these guys. And they've all crawled out with barely enough dignity to survive. There's now talk about abolition of the Supreme Court, abolition of the House of Lords, and abolition of the BBC. You know, what that tells you about Britain is that we are sick of this. You know, all we want is democracy. All we want is a fair crack of the whip. We don't mind what rules happen in this country as long as it's a democratic decision over those rules. That is the issue here. And I think that now the establishment in this country is going to have to be brought to book for the mistakes that it has made. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's a massive patriot, that I'm sorry that Britain has so badly failed, that British institutions have so badly failed to serve the will of the British people. But you know what? We're changing. And what has happened tonight is the latest step in that change.
Has there at all been any reaction in the last couple of hours in Europe itself?
Well, you know, I'm actually with a guy who was an advisor to Nigel Farage, and he's just told me that there was going to be a big party for the taking down of the Union flag in Brussels, but they moved forward the removal by 2 hours, so we couldn't be there to take photos of it. You know, that talks to a level of pettiness. But also, I think there's a lot of people, whether it be in Britain or whether it be in London or whether it be in Brussels, who are determined not to make this a big thing. You know, I'm a Conservative. I'm not a part of Nigel Farage's political party, but we saw the Conservative Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who I support, not put on a party tonight. We saw the Speaker of the House of Commons, once again a guy I support, who did not let Big Ben toll. So we did it ourselves. The people came out in towns and cities right across this country. And you've run the story about Big Ben, about Trafalgar, about Parliament Square. But actually, you know, right across this country, there have been small working men's clubs and towns that have set up their own parties with everything from 20 to 100 people. You know, that's been the heart and soul of this. It's always been about the little guy. It's always been about the ordinary man or woman standing up for themselves and saying, you know, we don't want anything special. We don't want anything different to what Australia's got. What we want is, we want to make our decisions about our laws. We want it to be our courts. We want it to be our parliament. We want it to be our government. And goodness me, for anybody watching in Australia, what an obvious comment that really is.
Obviously very passionate about it. It's a big night over in the UK. But you mentioned Boris Johnson. How big of an achievement politically is this for him?
Well, I don't think Boris Johnson has achieved anything politically, and I don't think that Nigel Farage has achieved anything politically. I think what's happened is this country has come together finally and said that we're going to unite. You know, 17.4 million people voted to leave the European Union, but that wasn't enough for the British establishment. What we also needed was a general election where people who had never voted Conservative in their lives voted for the Conservative Party. And remember something, the Brexit Party, Nigel Farage's party, stood down in many seats. You know, we had to come together on this. I know loads of people who did not ever want to vote for a Conservative Prime Minister, but at the end of the day, this was about unity. Unity as a country, unity as a group of British people against what we saw as not necessarily a tyranny, but rule from abroad, laws we never voted for, court decisions we never wanted. It was unity that was the important thing. It's not about Boris Johnson. It's not about Nigel Farage. It's not about any individual person. It's about this country asserting its authority as a world player. And I'm going to say something else to you about Australia. You know, Britain, Australia, the Anglosphere has been the greatest force for good in the history of this planet. And now we are going to step up to the plate again in a way that we haven't stepped up to the plate for decades.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting road ahead and certainly a massive night where you are. Andre Walker, the host of Talk Radio. There you are with your flags. Very, very, very proud. Very proud. Absolutely. I hope you enjoy the celebrations, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.